Hello my lovelies, today I am going to finally do an updated review of my Valentino Rockstud Tote. I have been meaning to do this for the longest time. I did a review of this bag not too long after I bought it, but that is quite a while ago now. I think it's close to 4.5 years ago since I bought this bag. I mean, that's nearly half a decade. It's crazy how time flies. But I have gotten quite a few questions asking me how the bag has held up and what I think about it now. So I thought we could take a look at that today. I know for myself, I really appreciate seeing bag reviews where someone has used the bag for as long as possible, essentially, because that is definitely one of my biggest reasons for buying expensive handbags. I want them to actually be high quality and last a very, very long time. I have also done a review previously. Can't really remember what I said in that review, and I really can't stand watching my own videos, so I'm not going to go back and see what I said. So I'm sorry if a lot of this is repeated from that video, but this is the handbag. First off, this is in grained calfskin. It has suede lining. It also comes in a lot of different colors. I think they do seasonal colors. I see they still do obviously the black and tan. They've done so many beautiful colors that I've kind of wanted to add as well over the years. It has obviously these platinum studs along the top here, and I think they are just so beautiful. I love the way they add a little bit of extra and they just catch the light so beautifully. It's kind of giving the bag a little bit more than being just a plain tote without being too over the top. It still feels really, really nice and current because it is pretty simple in design. And when I looked at buying this tote, I did have a few different kind of brands and styles in mind, and for me, one of the things that truly made me lean towards this one is because it is so practical on the inside. You do have a suede lining, which a lot of the other bags that I looked at, they didn't have a lining at all, and while that feels very cool and it makes the bag a little bit lighter, I just really like the practicality of having a lining. I think it finishes off the bag a little bit more. It feels a little bit more luxurious for the price point as well, I think. It also means you have pockets. You have a zipped pocket on one side. It's really large as well, so you can fit quite a bit in here. I just have like cards and things in there still, but I do think it's very useful if you want to like put your wallet in there, your phone, just to keep it a little bit more secure. It's a little bit difficult to see, I can appreciate that, because the lining is black. It does look a little bit like a black hole, but you do have two pockets on the other side as well, not zipped, so it's great to have like lip balm, small things that just get lost if you put them in a huge tote. And you do also have these like curious D-rings at each side here. They're really small, but they're super secure. So I did actually just take a crossbody strap and kind of fasten it that way, because when I used to live closer to where I work, I would just bike to work and I didn't want the bag to fall down as I was biking, so I just put it on crossbody. It worked. It's not the most comfortable. I wouldn't technically recommend it, but the D-rings held up. I don't exactly know what they're for, but I suppose you could kind of fasten a zip pouch or something to them. Maybe you could attach your keys to it. And I also wanted to touch on weight when it comes to this handbag. I do often get questions about that when I do review videos, so I've decided to just start weighing all my handbags because weight can be a little bit subjective. I weighed this one and it is 890 grams, which is about 2 pounds if I did that correctly. I don't think it's a bad weight for how much leather there is to this handbag, but if you're used to carrying like a typical canvas tote or something like that, it is definitely heavier. Now, from what I can see, there is a couple of visual changes to the new tote bags because I did buy mine a few years ago now, but the logo on my tote is at the top here, as you can see, whereas on the newer models, I think it's at the bottom, and mine also has a logo at the bottom, so I think this would be the placement for the new ones. I think those would be the only changes from what I can see, but if you have this handbag or you bought it kind of recently or you're looking at it and you see anything else, please do let us all know. All right, let's move on to wear and tear, and I think that is probably the most important part of this review. When I'm paying designer money for a handbag, I don't want to just be for the look or because it's trendy or cool. I really need this handbag to last, and unfortunately I have experienced that the quality is not always where it should be. And I really feel like I should preface this by saying that this is probably my most abused handbag. If I have treated any other handbag this poorly, it has either been like a canvas tote bag or it has not even lasted a season. So please know that this has been taken everywhere. It's been thrown around in my car, it's been stuffed on public transport, under seats, it's been carrying a lot of stuff for work. I've even used this as a grocery bag, and I mean, I stuff it full and groceries can get really heavy. So this bag has definitely been through it. I don't have space in my life to really baby a tote bag, so it really hasn't been. Does it look new? No. Does it look incredible for what I have put it through? Absolutely. Let's get into the specifics. And first of all, you can see that this has kind of these folds here. And if I remember correctly, it wasn't quite as soft when I bought it. So the leather has softened a little bit over the years, but because it is lined, it has still kept like a little bit of structure. The leather isn't super stiff to begin with. It's kind of more of like medium, very chewy leather. It's definitely not a super structured tote, but I think the leather has held up really well. And obviously I don't have anything in this handbag right now. I'll show you with things in it as well, but the bottom here, it magically doesn't sag. It does have a little bit of reinforcement. I can tell when I'm kind of bending it, but it's not super stiff. It's still quite soft, so I don't really understand how it's keeping the bottom shape so well still. Magical. And obviously because the leather is pebbled, you can't really see any scratches. I am sure there must be, and it's not like I've tried to damage it, but I really can't see any scratches. There is a little bit of corner wear where you can see the kind of structure of the leather has worn down a little bit, but nothing so bad that it actually needs like a fix or anything. Now, where the leather does look worn is the inside, and suede is obviously a much more fragile material than grained leather. But especially the bottom is looking a little bit worn, and you can see it by suede because it kind of becomes quite flat and looks a little bit almost shiny. But I mean, it's kind of just unavoidable to have suede look a little bit worn, and I really don't think it's that bad for how much I have used this handbag. The other thing I just want to mention quickly, there isn't anywhere, but I just think the fact that the studs have all held up so well is pretty amazing. The area that has definitely seen the most wear, and it is the area I was the most concerned about as well, the straps. They are kind of thin, and when I bought this bag I felt like they were just gonna snap right off because of how thin they are, and me knowing myself how much I like to stuff my handbags with all the unnecessary things. But they have held up. I do think the condition of them looks quite good. Where I can see wear is right at the bottom here where they connect. And this is just a very high tension area because I have carried so many heavy things in this handbag. You can see right at the bottom that the glazing has kind of worn off, and you can kind of see the strap has suffered a little bit of wear on it. And despite how good thin straps look, they do not always wear the best. So considering everything, I do think they have held up really well, and maybe I should have skipped some of the most heavy grocery runs with this handbag. Other than that, the glazing has held up really well on the rest of the straps. It's not cracked whatsoever, and around the top of the bag here as well. Looks perfect, and all of the stitching looks great still. Another thing that I'm very pleasantly surprised with is the logo. It's kind of like gold foil, and I was so certain this would just wear off quickly. I feel like I've seen that happen to a lot of handbags, but it's still looking kind of perfect. So overall, I have been very pleasantly surprised with how it has held up. I want to also kind of talk about what I like or not about this handbag, aside from the wear and tear, just in general. My first reason for kind of loving this handbag is that I do feel like it's a very luxurious tote. I always hesitate to say this about designer handbags, but I feel like I got a lot for my money, if that makes sense. I think it hit that sweet spot between workhorse and luxury bag. A tote bag is something that is often very overlooked and neglected in my wardrobe because I just find smaller handbags so much more fun, but the tote is just so practical and I've gotten so much use out of it that I'm really happy that I ended up buying this. And I really love that this bag is so basic, and it's kind of, if you don't really know handbags at all, and even if you do, this is not really that recognizable of a handbag. And I really love my under the radar handbags. I think they are great for a lot of different workplaces as well, where you don't want to wear something that kind of screams designer or logo. I think it is perfect for that reason. Of course, like most handbags, this has also seen a couple of price increases since I bought mine. I think when I bought it, it was around €1,000, which was definitely a good price compared to the other designers around that time, especially when you consider this is a lined tote. But I still feel like this is a decent value for money, like in the realm of designer handbags, especially when you compare it to a lot of other tote bags and what they cost, because I mean, all of the bags are just going up in price. Okay, there is a negative thing about this bag that I want to talk about. It's thin straps with a heavier bag. I don't really blame them for what they are. I think it just looks great, so I bought the bag anyways. But you do notice when you carry a lot of heavy things in it, wider straps are gonna kind of distribute the weight a little bit more. These, if I'm carrying a lot of heavy things on my shoulder, I do feel it. And it's not the bag I would recommend if you're going to carry a lot of things for a long time. Only you know really whether this is going to be too heavy for you or not. But if you know you hate thin straps, it might not be for you. I still really love it, and I don't really carry this bag for like long distances anyways, so it really doesn't bother me. And it's kind of the only negative thing I can think about when it comes to this handbag. Let me talk about what I do to care for this bag, because I think that is so key. And when you're spending this amount of money, why not just take a few minutes every now and again to actually care for the handbags? It's so much easier to prevent leather from drying out than it is to fix it once it has. First off, I do use a leather cleaner both on the inside and on the suede part of the bag, and I'll try to link a couple of the ones that I like to use. But whenever you test a new product, always test it on a not so visible part of the handbag first. So for the outside, maybe test the bottom of the bag or the suede. You could even test it inside, so one of the pockets. Just test a small area first, that way you can avoid potential disaster. And for the suede, I do have one of these little suede brushes. I use it to kind of fluff up the suede, and it helps it look a little fresher, and it really prolongs the time before it wears down as well. And then to protect the leather, I do use a Carbon Pro. I have used this for many years. I use it on almost all of my handbags. It's fantastic because it makes suede so much easier to clean. I sometimes use it on the outside, but I prefer to just use a leather conditioner on the outside, and I tend to do that instead of the Carbon Pro. I try to do this like every quarter, every start of new season. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer if I haven't used the bag as much, like during summer, but it really doesn't take that long, and I feel like it adds so much life to my handbag, so I would really recommend it. Is there a point to doing a what fits in my bag when it comes to such a big tote bag? Either way, typically I will carry a small laptop, an A5 sized agenda. I often carry a water bottle. I do have also a small pouch with my essentials, and then I obviously pop in my phone, sunglasses, a card holder. I really like to put this in the side pocket, but if you need more security, obviously you could put it in the zipped pocket as well. I just really love having them easily accessible. I do have more space, as you can see. I don't really tend to fill this bag fully for day-to-day wear. I don't really need to, but I quite often put a smaller bag into this tote because I really love having a crossbody bag, or even just a clutch if I just need to go grab lunch or something where I just need my essentials. It's really nice to not have to kind of lug the whole tote and all of my things with me. And if I need a change of shoes, I obviously have space for that as well. So I mean, what can you say? It's a tote, it has a tote size, and if it's tote things. And as always, here are some shots of me actually wearing the bag so you can see what it looks like on me. I am 160 centimeters or 5'3", and I tried to put my measurements in the description box, but I often forget, just in case that is also helpful. But you can see this bag is not too big. Some totes just get very, very overwhelming. I also have some styling options with this handbag over on my Instagram if you want to see that. But I mean, it's a very classic tote. It goes with most things. I feel like I do tend to wear it a lot for winter and fall, but it is a fantastic all-round tote. And that moves us into kind of final thoughts on this tote. I do think it is a very, very solid option still if you are looking for a designer tote. I am really happy to see that it has held up both quality-wise and style-wise for, as I mentioned, almost half a decade now, which I think is pretty good. For me, it's just very rewarding to kind of see that my handbags are still so loved and still heavily used many years later. I don't typically love owning the same bag in lots of different colors. Let me rephrase that. I would love to own all of the handbags in all of the colors and have an entire huge room dedicated to all my handbags. That's not the issue, but there are so many handbags that I love that I try to kind of buy different brands or different styles so I can try as much as possible. So I don't tend to buy the same handbag in different colors. I have done it, but I don't think I will buy this in more colors anytime soon. I have been close because they have so many beautiful colors, but I am really, really happy to have one in my collection, and if I didn't, I would easily buy it again. If you're looking for a daily tote bag that you will treat with still like a tiny bit of care, I think this is a fantastic choice. I'm really happy to say that I still love mine as much today as I did the day I bought it, but I really hope this review was helpful, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them down below in a comment. I'll try to answer, and also you can just go over to my Instagram and send me a message there if you have any questions about the bag. I love talking handbags. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!